Welcome everybody to another episode of Where's My Sock? I'm your host, Mr. E. And today we're going to be going over podcast mistakes. Because in the beginning, they don't really feel like mistakes when you're making them. A lot of times you just hit record and start talking and things feel pretty good. But then when you listen back, you notice your voice sounds different every minute, or maybe even there's a little bit of distortion. You're not really sure where it's coming from. And the frustrating part is most of these problems aren't solved by buying something. They're solved because you notice what went wrong at the right stage. So today we're going to do something practical. We're going to build a simple avoid the traps system before you record, while you record, and right before you publish. So let's get through some intro music, and I'll follow up with the rest of the episode and get into why avoiding these mistakes will help out a little bit in your journey. All right. So why does any of this even matter? It matters because editing is not a time machine. If your audio was clipped, the clean version was never captured. And if your microphone distance isn't consistent, you can fix it a little bit, but you'll spend time chasing it. And if your remote guest recorded on a speakerphone in a loud room, you could do some cleanup, but you're still editing around the damage. Then even after you edit, you can still lose time and energy on avoidable publishing mistakes, like exporting the wrong file or writing show notes that don't tell anyone of what the episode is about. So the goal is simple. Catch problems early. Earlier is cheaper. Earlier is easier. And earlier is calmer. So here's the concept. Most podcast mistakes usually fall into 3 buckets. The first bucket happens when you're recording, and you might have a few capture mistakes because you weren't focusing on your microphone techniques. You might have started clipping, or maybe your headroom wasn't where it should be. Your second bucket has everything to do with the episode itself. Are there any mistakes happening with your clarity? Here, you're going to want to pay attention to your structure and how your show notes are written. And then your third bucket, that's when you're actually publishing your final file. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to the exporting settings and the remote recording logistics. Now we're going to treat all of this like one system because that's how it behaves in real life. Prevent what you can, fix what you must, publish what you intend. So here's the method. Think of it like 3 check-ins. 1 before you record, 1 after you record, and 1 before you publish. Check-in 1. Before you record, is the capture clean? Start with your mic technique. That's your distance, your angle, and your consistency. If you drift back and forth from the mic all episode, your volume drifts with it. And if you blow straight to the mic, you'll trigger more harsh breath and plosives. That's never a fun word to say. So the first prevention move is simple. Pick a position and keep it steady. If you need emphasis, do it with your voice, not by lunging into the mic. Now check for clipping. Clipping is what happens when the recording gets too loud for the system and the sound hits the ceiling. You'll hear it as harsh crunch on loud words or when you and your guest are laughing. The reason clipping is a big deal is that it's hard to truly undo. Clean audio can be turned up later, but clipped audio can't be unclipped into a clean original. That's where headroom comes in. Headroom is the space you intentionally leave so louder moments don't hit the ceiling. Instead of setting levels based on your calmest test sentence, do a quick loud test. Say a line like you're making a point or do a quick laugh, and make sure that moment stays clean. Headroom isn't being quiet. Headroom is leaving safety space. If you do nothing else before recording, do this. Talk for 10 seconds, including 1 louder sentence, then listen back for distortion. That tiny proof recording prevents a lot of pain. Check in 2, after you record. Did this become an episode? Once you have audio, the next mistakes are usually about clarity. Episode structure is the shape. It's how you open, how you move through the main points, and how you end. A lot of episodes lose people because the listener doesn't know what the episode is about early enough. So a simple structure move is to state the topic early and keep the listener oriented with short transitions. You're not writing a novel. You're guiding a person who can't see your notes. Then you have show notes. Show notes are the text that goes with the episode, inside apps and on websites. They matter because most people decide to press play based on what they read. So the avoidable mistake here is vague notes. If your notes say, "We talk about a lot," you're forcing the listener to guess. Cleaner notes say what the episode covers and what the listener will get out of it in plain language. Check 3. Right before you publish. Is the deliverable what you meant? This is where export mistakes happen. Export settings are the choices that create your final file format and quality. The common beginner trap is thinking save equals publish. Your project file is your workspace. The export is the deliverable. So the prevention move is simple to confirm. What format am I exporting? What quality level am I exporting? Is this the file I'm uploading? Now, remote recording deserves its own final reminder because remote sessions create extra failure points. Remote recording means you're managing 2 rooms, 2 mics, and often an internet connection. The preventable mistakes here are predictable. Someone records on speakerphone, there's echo, the connection drops, or nobody is sure how the audio will be saved and shared afterwards. So the remote prevention move is a short pre-call agreement. Headphones on, test recording, and confirm how the audio will be captured and exported before the real conversation begins. So here's the rule to keep in mind when it comes to making a decision that keeps all of this from becoming complicated. If you can prevent it with a 20-second test, prevent it. If you can only fix it later, keep the fix small and focused. And here's the simplest 2-part checklist. Before recording, check for steady mic and headroom tests. Before publishing, check for clear structure, clear notes, and correct exports. If you do those 2 check-ins, you'll avoid a lot of common traps. Wrapping things up, most podcast mistakes are avoidable when you catch them early. Mic techniques keep your voice consistent. Clipping is what happens when you hit the ceiling and distort the audio. Headroom is the safety space that prevents clipping on loud moments. Episode structure keeps the listener oriented, and show notes explain the episode in a text so people can choose it. Most podcast mistakes are avoidable when you catch them early. So always keep in mind to keep your microphone techniques in check and watch out for clipping so that you're not hitting those ceilings and distorting audio. A great way to do that is to make sure that you're doing a check on your headroom just in case you have some of those loud moments. And your episode should be structured well before you hit record. That way it keeps the listener oriented on those great show notes that you left in the episode before they even hit play. And before exporting, turn your project into an actual file you publish. And remember, remote recording requires a plan because you're managing 2 setups, not just one. So prevent what you can, folks. Fix what you must, and publish what you intend. Thanks for listening. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show. So that way you never miss out on any of this information so that you can be a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. Take care.